to Stephen James, who is an award-winning teacher, because this absolute nightmare, front page of the Sunday People today, 70,000 more schools at risk of closure. Desperate scramble to check crumbling concrete is affecting an ongoing story. It's not going to go away anytime soon. It is affecting schools, hospitals, courts. There's so much going on here. Let's talk to Stephen now. Stephen James, award-winning teacher. Great to have you on the programme. Stephen, what do you make of this? It's a total shambles, isn't it?
Hello, Peter. Yeah, I mean, look, this has been going on since the 90s, possibly even longer, and it's something that's been continually kicked down the road. And look, I think firstly we've got to recognise that the government did act quick when the report came through. And
shouldn't they have known it was coming?
I think with a lot of things, as always, and through life, we mitigate risk, and this has been something that's been identified in hospitals, and they've been reinforcing hospitals, and it's something we can do in the wider infrastructure of our country as well. But when it starts coming to the stage where lives are at risk, I think they have to be commended for acting quickly. Now, obviously, the knock-on effect to that is the potentially damaging children's education yet again with missing school hours. And I think if COVID has taught us anything, is that children are resilient. They get through these things.
Are they? I mean, some of them are. Some of them are very resilient, and some of them got through it okay. But I know lots of young people and children of friends of mine who their development has been set back, their work ethic is different, their interaction with other children is different, their development, their mental health. I mean, there's so much of this that I don't think we even know now in terms of lockdown, and I know that's a separate discussion. But we had the Schools Minister, Nick Gibb, saying only this week, before this kind of emerged as a story, that even if they have a cough or cold, they should go into school because absenteeism is a really big thing. But schools were locked down and closed for such a long time, and now, because of something that was anticipatable, that was coming down the track, many schools are closing again.
And I think you've piled a lot of issues into that kind of one statement there in terms of children's resilience. I do think they're resilient, and I do think they'll always bounce back. There are obviously outliers and there are issues, but in terms of the school real estate and making sure that children are able to get into school, and absenteeism is high, not just combined with children just not turning up. Also, homeschooling has increased as well. So parents are choosing to keep their children at home as well. I think
what do you think of homeschooling?
I think it's the parents' absolute right to teach their children if they want to teach their children. It's not the state's role to kind of step in and tell them how things should be, how they should bring their family up. However, I do think, and I'm always going to say, having a qualified teacher in front of a child is always going to be far more effective than having anybody in front of a child or just doing it yourself. But the kind of creativity we need to think about in our education system that this is kind of going to push out in terms of remote learning, is that kind of being put in place right now for schools whose children are going to be off for an extended period? Are they looking at parts of the school which they can open and opening, areas of the school and operating out of those and just closing the classrooms which are at risk? Are they reaching out to local businesses? We're always talking about, everyone working from home nowadays. There might be a building next door, which is completely empty, that they could say, look, come on, we've got a bit of a problem. Can you help us out? Can you be community spirited? We're all about that kind of social corporate responsibility.
I get that, but how sustainable is that? I mean, that you might have a business that would say, okay, yeah, for a month, but if these buildings have to be rebuilt, I mean, that's going to take a long time and a lot of money.
You're right. It's not sustainable, but I would always encourage finding solutions to problems rather than problems to solutions. And, we deal with what's in front of us. And ultimately, the safety of the children is paramount, and we can't have children in schools which aren't safe. Same as we can't have patients in hospitals which aren't safe as well. And, we need to, I think, start kind of pulling together in this. There's no, I've already spotted over the weekend, this kind of political point scoring already trying to happen. And
it's perfectly legitimate. I'm sorry, Stephen. It's perfectly legitimate for opposition parties to say this is a failure and you should have seen it coming.
And you could say, why didn't the Labour Party see it coming? Because it happened on their watch as well. So, you're going to get this constant back and forth, and it doesn't take us forward. He said, she said, all this nonsense is not the kind of helpful politics that we need at this moment. We need a positive, we need firm action by the Secretary of State, which we've seen, to close those schools. We need our leaders in schools, head teachers, to say, right, we've got this problem. How can we creatively kind of solve it together? You've got a school of 1,000 children. They've all got parents. Let's reach out to the school community. Let's work together. Let's find solutions instead of constantly saying, right, we're all in the wrong. We're all, really kind of, we need to hold our hands up on issue, but nobody actually taking responsibility. And this is the thing that kind of, winds me up quite a little bit with the state of education. It's used as a political football when it shouldn't be, especially an issue like safeguarding and keeping children, safe and not wanting ceilings to collapse on them.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts there, Stephen James, who is an award-winning teacher. I think there